state, the court system.
How about now?
All right, Chuck, can you hear us? All right, let's try this over. All right, the time is 5:32 p.m. We are currently in council chambers for a regular town council meeting. Can I get a roll call?
You may. Chair Bragnon.
Present again.
Councilor Danforth. Here. And Councilor Gould.
Still here.
Councilor McGlaughlin. Here. Councilor Pelletier.
Hello.
And Councilor Runyon.
Here.
Thank you.
Can everyone stand and remove their caps for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any adjustments to the agenda, Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are swapping order number 39, 2026 from the draft that was in the packet to an updated draft submitted by bond counsel, including the proper legal ease.
And resolve number 3, 2026, an additional order 40. Approval of minutes for February 12th, 2026 regular council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Pelletier, seconded by Councilor McGlaughlin. Any councilor comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor? Councilor Runyon, how do you vote?
Aye. Sorry.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Special presentations. First up is Acadian Timber with the Housing Development Project. Just a reminder, all presentations should be between 15 and 20 minutes. At about the 12-minute mark, I'll just send a signal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to present tonight. I'm Conway Elkins, Director of Real Estate and Land Development with Acadian Timber. My remarks will be brief, as I'm going to hand it over to Noel Muzzin and Terry Dewan, who is on the line, some consultants that we have hired for us. But just to set the background, over the last few years, we've had many ad hoc requests for lots within town or lots outside of town for housing, kind of a mishmash. So we decided about a year ago that we would undertake a comprehensive look at our holdings and a proper concept plan that you're going to see tonight that we're going to present for Jerry Pond. So I'm going to hand it over to Noel. He's the expert, not me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is it all right if we have our colleagues Terry Dewan and Judy Colby George are on Zoom, and we have a little presentation. I think Terry should be able to run the show if you can share the screen.
There you go.
There it is. We'll keep it brief. We didn't time it, but I don't think we're going to be
No, you're
the
fine.
whole time. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Noel Musson. I'm a land use planner, and I actually live in Southwest Harbor. I've spent a bunch of time up here and in different parts of the state. I grew up in the state of Maine, and have worked on a bunch of projects all over the place in the state. So this is a really interesting opportunity to talk to you tonight about this potential concept that we're talking about, and looking forward to getting your feedback more than hearing me tell you what it's all about. So Terry is going to drive the show, and then probably, hopefully you can hear him if he has to jump in and pick up something that I might have glazed over. And when we get to questions and answers, he's around. But Terry's a well-known landscape architect. His offices are in Southern Maine, and we thought it would be easier for him to zoom in rather than take the drive all the way up. So
as a test, no. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Terry.
We can hear you, Terry.
And can everybody see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
Go for it, Noel.
All right. So as Conway said, we've been having some really good discussions with town staff and our Katahdin and others about ways that Acadian Timber can best help the town position itself for successful future investments and redevelopment opportunities. One of the consistent themes that we've heard quite a bit is we need to find some more areas where we can develop new housing. And we also observed, in thinking about that, that the current zoning structure in some of these new areas really isn't conducive to developing new housing. So that includes, a mixture of large lots or small lots or different housing types like single family, multifamily, all those things. So tonight we wanted to outline a tool that we think might actually, that the town could pursue that would provide good collaboration on this project and help set a path for collaborative future development. And the focus area is, so this is something we're calling a master plan zone, which I'll explain in a little bit. And really, this is just a conceptual discussion from our end, and we'd love to get your feedback and take, at the end of the meeting, and then talk about, what next steps might be if it seems like an interesting idea you want to pursue. So again, the focus point, the focus of this area is, as Conway mentioned, this Jerry Pond area. And it's about 385 acres of largely undeveloped working forest. It's an important recreational assets, as you can see, and most of you know well, better than I do, of the Jerry Pond Park and Jerry Pond itself. There's some trail systems in there. It's got varied topography. On this plan, you can see the little yellow points, which are paper streets that provide potential access to the area. There's also the New Jersey Street, which is the main road that kind of goes down and provides access to either side. If you go to the next slide, Terry, unless there's anything you want to add.
No.
We've also done some initial investigations to think about vernal pools and wetland resources. So the yellow and the blue that you can kind of see in the purple, those are wetland outlines and vernal pools with setbacks around them. So just as a sort of a testing out the waters, like, is there even a potential to do any development in this area from the natural resources perspective? Next slide. We also got mapping for the trails that are already out there. So we know that there's some walking and hiking trails, which we've walked around and hiked on a little bit. Snowmobile trail going through there, some potential future trail networks. And so what this, obviously this is a good example of understanding what the outdoor recreational opportunities are, and then how do we use that as we start to think about future development in that area, and how do we integrate a lot of those uses into future planning. Next slide. So the bigger thing, one of the things that we were looking at is the zoning. So this area is split between a couple of different zones. It's in a rural development zone. It's medium, it has medium density residential. It's got open space protection around the OR zone, and really the protection zone around Jerry Pond, the wetland protection zone. There's a lot of different zoning districts kind of serve a unique purpose, but put together, they really don't support a kind of a coordinated approach to thinking about how development could actually occur in this area. So as structured now, the zoning would really require a rezone to be able to do anything out there. So our overall goal was to start to think about, not about maximizing development, but really about protecting natural and recreational resources while allowing thoughtful, planned neighborhood growth. And how this growth can be supported, whatever's happened, all the good initiatives that are already happening in the town. So there's several planning objectives that we started to think about. And these objectives are really the principles that would give any sort of master plan, if you think about it, the foundation. So the protected open space and shoreland resources, Jerry Pond is obviously a defining natural feature of that area. There are conservation areas that are we can think about. And development will be focused in land where it's suitable. So we're thinking about understanding those natural and open space resources first and protecting those. Another one is maximizing the effects on existing neighborhood, or minimizing the effects on existing neighborhoods, sorry. So recognizing that there is an existing neighborhood developed right nearby, and really thinking through early on what are the the goals of compatibility and not just total disruption of any sort of development that's going to happen there. We also think about walkable streets and interconnected trails, making the area that already functions as a bit of a recreational resource continue to be walkable and providing internal connectivity through a good, thoughtful road network. We think about a range of housing types and densities. So we've heard consistently that housing diversity is important. So how do we think about this area as a way to provide housing diversity through code? And then sort of adding some small scale neighborhood commercial uses. What does that mean? Things that we could define, but is it appropriate in some of those areas to have a little convenience store, something that actually fits in with a neighborhood, but not like the bigger commercial activities that are happening more appropriately in other locations in town. Next slide. So what is a master plan district? So the idea is that this would actually create a new zoning district that would only occur in conjunction with the adoption of a master plan for this area. The master plan becomes part of the zoning record. The council adopts the district and the master plan or the town, if this goes to zone change. And future development in this area would actually have to conform with the master plan. So it's important to note that the town sets the framework first. It's not an automatic project approval, so there's still going to be subdivision approvals and other things that would have to occur. And the capacity of the area would be intentional and not like sporadic. That can happen over time when you do sort of that, every 2 lots every 5 years scenario. Next slide. So some of the key features of the master plan are, at the time of rezoning, we'd have to, the master plan would be required, which would take into consideration primary road networks and access, creating kind of a framework for that. We start to think about general land use areas. So what kind of housing development would be good in certain areas of this master plan? Development of capacity ranges. So what's the overall density in certain areas? Infrastructure thought and utilities, thinking about that in advance through sort of main corridors, open space and conservation areas thought about in advance, and maybe even design principles and phasing could be thought about as part of this master plan. So it establishes intensity and structure, but it does not go to the detail of a building plan or even a lotted subdivision plan. So it's like the next level. It's like in between where you are now and where you would go if you went to a subdivision. That's kind of the idea of a master plan. Detailed traffic analysis would still apply, or site plan review or subdivision review would still occur. The other thing would be the master plan starts to help us think through what the range of housing types might be. So are we talking about cluster developments or townhomes or multifamily houses or single family homes, and where would they go on the landscape? Thinking about accessory dwelling units and other sort of neighborhood scale development, trails and recreation integration. So we saw the map earlier where the trails are. So how do we think about those trails and what they are and how they could get integrated into like the overall concept, so that there's still that access to recreational and outdoor activity. So it's housing diversity, but not unlimited density. Capacity would be defined as part of the master plan, and commercial uses would be neighborhood scale, not the traditional like bigger commercial uses. The other thing that it thinks about is conservation areas identified up front. So we'll provide you with an example of kind of what we're talking about. You can actually see it visually, but just wanted to kind of go through the whole elements of it first. Shoreland zoning compliance, because there's shoreland zoning standards that need to get built in to this. Protection of wetlands and other sensitive resources is something that has to get considered as part of this whole framework. And as I mentioned, trail connectivity and can be preserved or expanded, or thoughtful layout. So environmental protection is integrated and not reactive to, a less thoughtful approach. Next slide. All right. So how is this a little different from traditional zoning? traditional zoning actually creates, so in traditional zoning, changes are permitted uses and planning happens later. So somebody comes in and says, this is a good idea. We're going to just build a couple lots out here. We're going to try to do a subdivision. In this approach, the planning actually happens first, so we can understand where the main roads are going to be. We can understand what the limits of any sort of rezoning might be in the future. And there's also a big public process at the beginning of this. So in developing the master plan, there is a public process that would have to go into this. So we can understand upfront what it is that needs to get addressed at the master plan level, and then what also needs to get addressed when you're going in for a more traditional subdivision. So we like to think about it as providing predictability instead of piecemeal change, which is sometimes what happens in other things. So some benefits. There's a coordinated planning for large and important areas of town that we can respond to the different needs that we've heard. It creates a predictable path for investment rather than a reacting by project basis. There's reduced long-term administrative burden because you kind of know what you're up against early, and then you can just go and do it through like a more traditional channels. The developers who are going out there have more clear expectations of what it is they're going to have to do and what it is they're going to be not have to do. And I think it aligns with the private investment and public goals that we've heard, at least in the area. And also, I think from the neighborhood perspective, things that we need to consider. What are the traffic impacts going to look like? And how do we think about those? And how do we keep roads, off? How do we keep other roads from new development from unreasonably interfering with the existing kind of quiet neighborhood that's already out there? Trail preservation and expansion is a big deal. And of course, protection of natural resources, things that we think about. All right. So this is what we've come up with as for discussion purposes. I will just preface this. This is a very illustrative plan, not a final design. But I think what we wanted to just point out is the idea of the master plan would be a more detailed version of this, where here you can see the kind of the road spine going through. Those would be potential road locations where I'll call those like the main roads going through. Maybe that's the same location as where any public infrastructure may or may not be able to be expanded in. And then sort of development comes off from that. It identifies more conservation areas. So I think this correlates for the most part with the Jerry Pond zone that was the 1,000-foot buffer around Jerry Pond, with the exception of a few areas over by the green and the purple, or maybe that's blue, green and blue, or pink and blue, sorry. But we actually are thinking about adding some additional conservation area up by the railroad tracks. So all in all, we don't have a total number yet, but the capacity for conservation is actually a little bigger than what would be there under the traditional ordinance structure that you have right now. And in this one, we've also thought about it a little bit to say, where would it be appropriate to have single family larger lots, or where would it be good to have some single family more cluster lot development, or thinking about the smaller lot single family as it's adjacent to the existing smaller lot neighborhoods. And then where could you have a little sort of mixed use area where we're talking about that neighborhood scale commercial, and then maybe where would some multifamily development go? So conceptually, a lot more detail. This is something that would get brought back through this master plan district. And so the idea, again, just to summarize, is that currently you have a zoning structure. And the concept here would be to take that zoning structure and actually create a new zone called we could call it like the Jerry Pond Master Plan District in this area that's about 385 acres. And from that, the requirement would be to have a master plan that sort of directs the growth in that area in a more thoughtful way. And then once individual projects come in, some of those details would already be worked out, but you'd still have to go through and get, the subdivision approval to create new lots or housing development. So it doesn't substitute for that. It provides a more predictable interim approach to the project. I think that's it. Is that? Hopefully that was fast enough. Terry, anything you want to add?
Next steps.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Next steps.
Let's
Where do we
talk-
go from
also-
here?
Terry, you want to add anything before I talk about next steps?
Well, other than to say that just keep in mind, this is very, very conceptual, very high level. You know, the boundaries of these areas have been developed by being sensitive to things like the wetlands and the vernal pools and steep slopes and so forth. But the next step, when a master plan is developed, then you would see these development district subzones defined in more detail. But this is the first attempt to get a handle on the different types of uses that may be appropriate here, how they relate to the existing neighborhoods, where some lots, for example, the single-family lots up on top there, might actually have views looking north to Mount Katahdin, to the mountains. It is very site-specific and takes into consideration a lot of different factors, all of which will then be very important when it comes time to developing the actual master plan.
Yeah, so for us, I think the next step is, love to have some feedback on the concept, or since I went through it really fast, and happily answer questions because I'm sure there's a few. I hope there's a few actually. But if we were to move forward with this, the next step would really be a public workshop to talk through the concept and also use that as an opportunity to try to understand, what the public is thinking about in terms of things that need to get integrated into the master plan. And then I think there would be a planning board review, so we can take it from the public workshop and then start to develop the actual language that would go into your zoning ordinance. To work with the planning board for that, and then, back for council consideration and whatever sort of adoption process goes on after that. But so this step would be the zone change step. And then there would be the master plan step. Something like that.
Okay. I have several questions, but is there any way to go back to the slide that shows the wetlands?
Yep.
Sure. Hello. I may have to just go backwards.
I'm glad I'm not driving.
That's okay. I'll open it up to the rest of the council while he gets to the slide. Any councilor comments? Councilor Danforth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I know you said you went quick and you put a time limit on you, but you did.
What? I
You
went
did
too
great,
fast.
comprehensive, and you said a lot of keywords that I really liked hearing, and the fact that, a plan and that it's done sequential and well thought out, and that you're going to involve the public going forward in some of your next steps. But it's exciting because it's much needed as far as housing. So I appreciate all the work you did in the presentation. I need to get up closer and see it. I want to process it, but just initial reaction is I'm very excited. for
Great.
what
Thank
had
you.
to say.
Can we get a copy of the slides emailed to us, or?
Yeah, I think we could probably email them too. Yeah,
Can do that
absolutely.
now, yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Any other councilor comments?
I have one.
Go ahead.
You used a term, predictable path, as one of the benefits.
Sure.
And in 2026, I just want to know what's predictable.
That's a great question. I don't know if that's a trick question or a good question. I think that the way I think about it is predictability in the sense that if you looked at the example, the illustrative concept plan that we gave you, what you're going to have as a community at the end of this master plan process is predictably, these are the areas that are supposed to be dedicated for, this kind of the larger lot areas that Terry was just mentioning, or in this location is the area where you're going to have the smaller lot areas, or over here is where we would want to have the connections with, the multifamily units, because it meets a better, the relationship is more appropriate with the other things that are happening around this property. The predictability of where, more or less, where the roads are going to go, the main roads, not necessarily like subdivision roads that go off of them. And also some thought about, if we did this development range, what are the transportation impacts that we have to think about and what might need to be built out over time in order to absorb or mitigate any sort of impacts. So it's actually helpful, not just for the town, but it's actually helpful for the landowner and future developers to kind of know, okay, this is what we know we need to do this. And so when you're going to like a planning board meeting, instead of just sort of dropping a plan, you know, in front of the planning board and trying to figure out all that stuff in more of a piecemeal way, it's like, it's the interim step that we're trying to.
I feel very passionate about this town. I came back after a 28-year absence from this town, but I was born and raised here. And I did a little deep diving, and I know we're going to have a community workshop, and I can get more into it. But, you know, I went through the census today. And the last development, I believe, that happened in Millinocket of any large scale is what we still refer to as the new development,
Right.
which was in the 1950s. Drives
Yep.
my grandmother crazy, but
Yep.
you know, in 1970, as far back as I went for a population, and we had 7,742 people.
Mm-hmm.
As of the 2020, we were around 4,114, which is almost half. It's 3,700 less. And as somebody who lives here, owns a house here, unfortunately, I don't see a need for housing other than livable housing. I feel like we're abandoning a town and just building a town on the outside of it, kind of gnawing on the carcass of what was once. And that's where I've been trying to look at this objectively. I really have.
Sure.
But I just feel like we're forgetting about a town that was here. Where
Yeah.
we need to fix up houses
Yep.
instead of build new.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really obviously, well-founded thought. And I think one of the things that, and we actually were sort of tossing that around very early on. And it's interesting to think about the need for different types of development opportunities. And if you're on the cusp of a lot of different things that are going to, I'm trying to think of a good way that I keep trying to describe it in my head. I've been coming up here for quite a while. And so it's just really interesting to observe all the energy that's here. And it's like it's like a pressure cooker, boiling pot of water that something's going to go off at some point, I think. And I know the guys at Architauden are doing a really good job, really trying to get things happening up here. And the way that we're looking at this is just creating the framework and the zoning structure to be able to do something, not to abandon the development that's already there, because that neighborhood, the new development neighborhood, is actually pretty cool. Like as a planner, we were walking around there and thinking, this is a neat little neighborhood, and it's amazing how it was developed the way that it was. But it really provides, what this does is just, it doesn't ignore that, but it also provides opportunities for what I've heard other demands are that are not going to be able to be met by the current structure and available land that's here. And so there's all that going on. And I'm not arguing, because I think your perspective is definitely more well-founded than mine. But I think it's, that's sort of the mentality that we're coming at it with.
I guess my concern, and I'm sorry to drag this out, but my concern is not turning into a resort community.
Yep.
Where we have no industry. So when you talk about, an economic development through this, there's still no jobs here. We
Sure.
had 1,234 employed people in this town of 4,114 people. So
Yep.
we need jobs.
Yep.
And I see places for people to live, but what are they going to be doing here?
Sure.
If it's not just a vacation rental.
Yeah. And I think to get to that those conversations have also happened. And I think it's really part of this is to think about how do you position yourself to, hey, if the jobs are going to come, what sometimes it's like housing is like a cart before the horse question. Do you need houses or jobs? Most of the time you actually need both, because they're kind of mutually, they work together. But in this case, so if you have certain industries that are like poised to move here, you do have a good foundation for great neighborhoods and those kinds of things. You're building on that. You're providing new opportunities, which are hopefully going to target some of the new economic development that you have in the works, and also the outdoor recreational stuff as well. Like that is a big economic driver in this area.
Absolutely.
And that's not to say that like that market isn't going to get taken care of in other areas as well, like kind of on the outskirts of town. But I just think that the concept here is not to ignore the things that you're very rightly pointing out, but to also say, those things can happen. And you don't have to ignore the inside, the carcass, if you will, as you mentioned, but you can also like think about creating the framework for something in areas that aren't currently being thought of. So it's like thinking about it a little differently, and just the zoning structure. That's why I think the master plan idea is so interesting as a planner, because we're thinking about creating the framework for development early. And then how that development kind of unfolds over the long term is, we don't know yet, but currently the way that the structure is set up is very rigid. And there's no way to even think creatively to try to capitalize on any of those other needs that might be out there.
I'm gonna open it up to the other three counselors before I ask my questions, and I'll come back if you have any follow-up. But Counselor Runyon, I see your hand is raised.
Yep. Just a couple short things for me. Is there a way for us to get an overlay of this wetland slide that you're showing with your proposed breakout of how you're going to, of the housing?
She asked one of my
breakout?
questions.
I thought we might be on the same page here, Matt. I
Yeah.
really did.
I
I would like to
think,
see that.
Yeah, so I think as we develop the master plan in a little more detail, we'll be able to like overlay the, here's the development areas where certain concentrations of things are going to go in relation to the wetlands for sure. Yep, that's something that we'll work on.
And as your industry is, right, is the intent for you guys to clear cut that? Are you going to harvest the timber there as a part of this whole master plan?
No, that's not the intention. The intention would be to maintain, I mean, we would harvest the roads probably and some of the building lots, of course, but it's not to go in and harvest the whole site before we develop it, no.
That's it for me for now.
All right, thank you, Counselor Runyon. Counselor Pelletier, go ahead.
Well, thank you for the presentation, and as a concept, it's really, as it gives us definite areas, I'm not sure about environmental aspects of shoreline and all that, I'm sure that's all covered.
Yep.
But given the lots that we currently have, and we've seen some demolition and expansion lots, we've lived forever with posted size lots. All the time we had some options, and this brings that, continuation of what happened in the development. I think it'll fit really nice, and even to larger lots, what I understand, which is, there's always somebody who wants that. The housing stock we currently have in the high density area, a lot of them are just gonna have to disappear. I mean, they're just not workable and to be renovated. So that'll help giving elbow room to abutting neighbors and stuff. And I think, over time, this won't happen over 5 years. 10 years before we see anything substantial. So see what happens with the industry by then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I have two concerns. I'm curious to see how they come up once you guys move forward with this project, but the wetlands, as Councilor Runyon put out, excuse me, I'm very ignorant to the pools and the wetlands and what rules and regulations fall around them with the state of Maine, but given just the look of how large they are in that area, concerns me, as well as the trail systems, which you guys have mentioned. So curious to see how you guys interlay those with concepts in the future. Those are my two biggest concerns.
Yeah, those were concerns of ours as well, and that's why we wanted to understand that. Just to give you a quick overview of the wetlands. So what we asked the wetland scientists to do is basically like give us the broadest picture of the wetlands that you can. So you're seeing like these big blobs of wetlands, but we didn't like go inside the wetlands and figure out like, okay, are there any bigger pockets of upland inside the wetlands? Some of that detail might actually end up coming like at a like more of a subdivision phase, but
So
yeah.
there's potential for it to change as
A little bit, probably not on the outside lines won't change, but the inside lines might change.
Thank you. I will open it up to the public. Chuck, you've had your hand raised for quite a while. I will start with you.
That's quite all right. I put my question in the comments.
Just a
Oh,
reminder,
sorry,
name and
Chuck.
address, sir.
Chuck Pringle, 1 Colony Place. And I was just curious to know, since I'm one of the less learned, having only been here about 5 years, it's who currently owns that plot of land that is being considered? I was just curious. I don't know.
Yeah, Acadian Timber.
Okay, so they actually own it. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you. That's my only question. I think this is a great concept.
Thank you, Chuck.
That was an easy question. We love
Yeah,
that.
thank you for that softball. That wasn't, yeah, appreciate that.
Good evening, councillors. Good to be here. Shane Flynn, representing myself, One North, Narcoton. And I see that that Steve Sanders is also connected over internet. We've known the Acadian team, this particular team, for about 18 months on this project. In fact, a little bit longer. And Acadian came to a summit that we had in New York back in September of 2024, sorry. And from that, there was a lot of discussion about infrastructure that was needed, including social infrastructure, which includes housing. And a short time later, relatively short time later, Acadian came to us and said, you know, we're thinking of doing some development. And we found them to be very constructive, very open to input, and very sensitive to what was happening in the community. They may not have had conversations with people in a forum such as this one over the last year and a half, but there's been a lot of work done to try to come up with something that would fit very well with the community. And of course, they're going to take, and it's very important there are meetings like this to get as much input as they can. But one of the things that we have found is that Acadian's approach to what they do in this location is one of engagement, listening carefully to what people are saying and responding to what they see as the needs, whether that be industry that comes here, where we've introduced them to some people, or just their general interest in the area, which is lovely to see, actually, great to see. The other thing that I would say is that as we look at this project, I understand what Councillor Gould is saying about the housing stock that's here already. Whether there's adequate housing stock or not, you know, I can't comment on that. But I do know that when we have people who come in who are thinking about development, they do remark on the quality of the housing stock in the area and the unavailability of what they think some of the people that would come back to the area would be looking for. I think the other thing about the community that, you know, some of the hard facts about the community are worth knowing and are worth at least reflecting on. Millinocket's in the 88th percentile for age profile in the state. So it's a very old population. And as a result, many of the current houses are probably occupied by one or two people, when historically they might have been occupied by 3 or 4. And most of those people were probably working here. The other thing is that the workforce participation rate, people often think about unemployment and employment and unemployment, but the workforce participation rates in Millinocket and in the area are very low, which is not a good feature, unfortunately. We hope to change that, but for now, it's quite low. And those would suggest that the type of development that we're seeing here can actually assist in addressing both of those. And I think it's important as the population ages further, unless we do have development. Development comes with what can be done by people who will develop businesses and industry, but also what's here for the people who would move to the area. And I think that this is a great step that brings us closer to trying to match what we think people will need. The other thing, and maybe the final thing to say, is that one of the points that we've observed with Acadian is that they've been very open to the idea of phasing this project, and phasing has been important. And in fact, we actually did an introduction for Acadian to a very, very prominent developer in the state. That we've had 2 meetings with them at this stage, and that developer is very active, very, very good, and loves the area. And looks like they have a lot of interest. I mean, there has to be some commerce done between the two organizations. but it looks like there's someone out there that might actually look at a phase of this, and particularly for the workforce housing, because workforce housing, or entry-level housing, if you like to call it that, is probably the most critical need that we think is out there. So I would just like to say that we've had a really good relationship with Acadian over a period of time. They've been very, very good at listening to points that are made. I think they're very responsive to the community. I think they're a good neighbor, and we're glad that that they're coming forward here. Glad that you're able to see them today. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Screen.
Go ahead, Mr. Sanders.
Yeah, hi, thanks. Steve Sanders, 75 Cottage Road. I'm curious if the town has the current policies, procedures, ordinances, whatever is needed to contemplate such a rezoning effort. And what I'm thinking along those lines is to ensure that the public has good and proper input. And then if any rezoning decision is made, and that it would be binding and would be done properly. We've seen other developments in the state that have been looked at through the courts retroactively and have actually been reversed in some cases and not providing adequate surety for developers. So just curious as to current status of, is our ordinance up to date that we can contemplate such a mastery plan?
So I only heard a portion of that. Sorry, I have a ear infection, so it was very difficult to hear you. Was a question asked, Steve? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll ask it again. Is the town currently having enough policies and procedures or ordinances to contemplate such a development? This is kind of a new style rezoning effort, and I'm just wondering if the town is everything in place to ensure good public input, and then binding resolution, whatever the outcome of this is.
My answer would be yes, but I'll defer to the manager for that one.
I would say yes and no. Yes, for the most part. No, meaning we certainly would have to make a few adaptations in the beginning stage of this. I think what these gentlemen are mentioning about the process with the planning board and things, addresses the needs that we have, the gaps that we have, and then from there on out, we would be all set.
Could I just interject real quick? I also think that it's important to note that the idea would be, you have an existing zoning structure which has, different zoning districts all over town. We can pull up the map again, but this idea is to take this 385 acres, and so you're creating a whole new zone. And so then in the zoning ordinance, in the land use ordinance, you create like a new section called the Jerry Pond Master Plan Development District, and it would have a whole series of standards, just like other zones that would have to apply to this master plan. And then the master plan would have to get adopted as part of that zone. So it could happen in stages, but the framework is there in your ordinances already to adopt or amend, I believe, the land use ordinance. And that's the process that we'd have to go through, because you're creating a whole new section essentially in the ordinance.
Perfect. Did that answer your question, Mr. Sanders?
It does. Thank you, Noel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Raymond.
Good evening. 36 Highland Avenue, Millinocket, Maine. Wow, what a great idea. Been a long time since we've seen any type of development around here. I can remember it. Matter of fact, they probably walked over some of my dirt bike tracks because I've ridden all that area up there. And back then I always thought, boy, this would be a nice place for housing. And I don't know how long it'll take, but probably about 50 years it has taken to do this. And, if we've got new industry coming in, we have new industry coming in. I know that people are going to look, and yeah, these houses that we have in town, they're adequate for people to live in and stuff, but this is stuff from that people who are professionally coming in here. They're going to build new houses, I presume. And these houses are going to be, you know, a lot of money. Because it's not cheap to build a house now. That's gonna be a lot more tax income for us. Yes, there'll be some, you know, Brian's gonna have to worry about more streets to plow and stuff, but that's a good thing. I mean, this is something positive. From what I've seen so far, if I was on the council, I'd be voting for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
Matt Polstein, unorganized territory, T1R8. Is it right for me to make?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Also taxpayer in Millinocket.
True. I thought it was important that I come for a couple of reasons. One was to state as somebody else that obviously is big interest in development in the area and working on another project, that I see this as completely additive to this area's future. I don't see it as a negative competitor in any way. And I think Acadian Timber deserves a lot of credit for opening up land for non-timber values in a way that will benefit the town of Millinocket right in the town. I think that's great. I think their choice of a consultant speaks to their interest in supporting this community. Terry and Noel have a long history of thoughtful development around the state, and there are other people that would have probably guided Acadian in a different direction. And I do think that's something that needs to be considered. Millinocket needs good support as development happens in and around it. And I just wanted to say that I see this as a positive addition and look forward to co-developing in the area.
Thank you. Any other public comment before I go back to the council? Seeing none, just before we close out, thank you again for your wonderful presentation. I want to make it clear that I am very much in favor of this. I have concerns, but I think we're more than capable of working those out in the future. It's very evident with Medway Road that there is a need for this kind of housing development based on how quickly Medway Road sold out. And I'm not in disagreement with Councilor Gould because I think he has a point to make, but I think they can work hand in hand. It's just a matter of finding that common ground, as you mentioned. So thank you again for your presentation. I'll open it up to the council one more time.
I just wanted to thank you for a great presentation. I looked at this very objectively because I went in passionate and headstrong, and I decided to look at everything from all three sides of the story, researched your company, and you guys have a great track record. So I just want to make sure I came back to hopefully help this town move forward. And
we value your comments and keep pushing the good things. That's what we want to hear, and so we can integrate that into our plan. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Thank you again.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, but we'll look forward to your email with the slides. And if we have questions, I'm sure we'll email as needed.
So just to reiterate, I think the next steps for us is to start to think about this public meeting, but also to start to develop the template language that would be, here's what the ordinance what would look like in the ordinance as well. So people can actually start to see that a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll take just a minute. Mr. Manager, I believe it's your turn.
My turn. What do you want me to do?
Town manager's report.
Oh, good idea. It was almost as good as, me and Councilor Dume, but we'll work on that.
All right. Sounds good.
Or you're getting it.
All right.
So I haven't done much of a deep dive in my reports for a while, and there are several things in this edition that I really want to go over. I'm going to start in the departments. I'll be, as always, I'm not going to go over every detail in here. There's, 15 plus pages of information per usual. I highly recommend anyone go to the town manager's page on millinocket.org to view the entirety of it. It's a great source of information and the goings on of the municipal operation. So, yeah, Public Works. Public Works has been doing, they've had some opportunity a little earlier, I think, and more often than usual, go through with the loader, snow blower, and the tractor trailer, set up and widen a lot of the streets. We've actually received several messages through email, Brian and I, about people pointing out how impressed they've been with the roads and the widths and that sort of thing throughout areas of town that we don't normally hear about. So some of those are really nice to see. The one of the lines in the Public Works part of this address is the multiple times in the last month or two where wastewater lines have frozen, and the current fix to that is to call an outfit who comes to Millinocket, travels from away, and uses a special type of pressure washer that does steam and hot water through it. So one of the, we've spent, I think, more in the last month addressing that without the tool ourselves than the tool costs. So I think you'll notice as we go into our budgets, we'll probably be recommending the purchase of one of those. It's not a huge purchase, it's $5,000-$6,000, but it will save us a big deal in the long run. And of course, the beginning of the infrastructure task force of the council. We had some initial conversations around that, and thank the support of the counselors that are involved with that, and we look forward to continuing those and trying to wrap our heads around a plan of attack moving forward. The other, one more item in Public Works is that's worth highlighting is that one of the energy efficiency grants that Community Initiatives Director had received, and there was there was a need to find a way to get a project together for the remainder of it, and we had the remainder of the funds, and we kind of played with that idea for quite a while. Brian came to us with an idea to insulate the hydraulic tanks at the compactor at the transfer site using those funds. And now that we've received a full cycle of the energy bill for the transfer site, it's actually proving to have cut that by 21%. So we're looking forward to continuing our energy efficiency as a way to save on expense as we have so many uncontrollable increases moving forward. So we're really trying to be wise about that, but I definitely give praise to Brian and Amber as they put that plan together and made it happen. See, in the code department, Tom is also our health and safety officer, code, the whole shebang. He did we have a couple of visits from the MMA workers' compensation group a couple times a year, and Tom's attention to detail and communication throughout our whole operation continues to give really good grades as we move through that. So that happened just a couple of weeks ago, and it very few, very minor suggestions from the MMA workers' comp group, and most have already been addressed. So as we continue to do that, and you'll on the agenda tonight, one of the resolves is a continuation of participation in that fund as a member. And every time we do these things and adapt certain policies within the administration, we increase our positive standing with that outfit, and get larger and larger discounts on how much we pay for that, because it is quite expensive. And then also, he's spending a good amount of time with myself and Counselor Gould, Counselor Bragdon, as we have begun working through the code book, and that is an exciting process to be part of.
Very dull.
Exciting, doesn't even touch it. Let's see, from the clerk's department, I do want to point out that Diana and her team are actively preparing for the upcoming special election and the June referendum that's just around the corner. That we have quite a few seats available by the looks of it on boards and committees that we would love to get applications from volunteers in our community to participate on. Planning board has an alternate seat. The Rec Advisory Committee has one partial term, although that may be being reorganized in the very near future as we move towards that regional Rec Advisory group. Personnel Appeals Board has a seat available, and the Board of Appeals has one seat available. And then regarding the upcoming special election, we do have, it is a race now. We have two candidates in the upcoming election. Mike Medore will be on the ballot, and Mr. John Raymond will be on the ballot. Two former counselors, two people who understand the process, and two people that, even if it is just for the 6-month place, are, either candidate would certainly be able to jump right in and know exactly how this works. So, I wish them both the best of luck, and look forward to working with whichever one it is. And that special election is taking place on March 31st. Thank you. Normal polls, your microphone's off. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., March 31st, Stearns High School gym.
The battery died.
Oh, that's okay. Just grab this one. Yeah, plenty of communication going out about that already and in the near future. So we hope to see the community participate in that.
Absentees are available for first thing 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yes, so
Communications were already sent out as well.
yeah, awesome. So contact the clerk's office. Okay, I'm going to move into the fire department, who recently, they are an incredibly busy tool. You can see their department. They're two plus pages of work that really doesn't even touch the amount of work that they do throughout any given month. But they did recently have their annual awards night within the department. I was sadly unable to attend, given a prior engagement, but Chief Cody this is something he's initiated in recent years with the department. In congratulation, that night was John Brennan Stull. I'll never actually get that right. Did I get it right? All right, good. It's something I've been working on. 2025 Firefighter of the Year, Matt Farrington. 2025 Fire Chiefs Award, Isaac Hakes. 2025 Most Improved Firefighter. And then letters of commendation were given specifically to Matt Farrington, Katie Cullen, John Brennenstall, Noah Buckner, and Chad Libby, as well as certificates of appreciation given to the remaining members of the department. And then on top of those recognitions, I am going to point out and offer some serious praise and congratulations to Chief Cody, as he has just completed the Fire Officer 4 training and is now certified as Fire Officer 4. That is the top. That's the max. So we're very proud of his continued and ongoing drive to learn and learn and learn. So we had a few things from the PD and from the library is attached. I do want to point out that if you look at the code enforcement permit survey as a summary, as I've been talking pretty regularly about, we're at 60% of the fiscal year, and that department has surpassed the anticipated revenue that the budget was built around for that department. So things are continuing to go really, really well. The other attachment that I want to point out is the letter that I included that we received recently from the Maine Water Company. Before I flip back to the top of my report and talk about just two items here, but they are of big importance. So as most know at this point, our trash hauler died recently. I was feeling funny when I wrote this. Our trash hauler has hauled its last load and crossed its last bridge. For this loss we set. So we do have speaking to our great relationships with our neighboring communities, we currently have a loaner deal worked out with the town of East Millinocket. Our trips to the landfill are 3 times a week. Their trips to the landfill are once every 2 weeks. So they're allowing us to use the equipment, and we are making their trips for them when those needs arise. That doesn't mean we don't need to replace that piece of equipment. And how was that for a double negative? Those grammar folks in the room. So we have been pursuing this for a month or 2 at this point. We have a truck identified. We have a financing plan per se, with quotes from same company that we purchased a fire truck from last year. We're looking at a $182,000 purchase over 3 years at about $60,000 a year at a little over 5%, 5.29% interest on that. And I'm currently working through a request from the unorganized territories, the Penobscot County, for a contribution towards the purchase of that truck, because we do have we do service the unorganized territories through there, and that truck to do that. So I'm working with them on that. The request is for one of those 3 payments. So that has not been finalized, but I anticipate being able to bring an order on March 12th all continues to go well, so that we can ask the council for consideration on that purchase to keep our dump up and running. And then the final thing I want to talk about tonight is news about the hydrant rentals. So as many know, and many more don't know, the town of Millinocket is obligated to offer hydrant access to our department and our constituents. And it's the largest bill that we have. And so we recently received notification from the Maine Water Company that they have recently submitted two requests to the Maine Public Utilities Commission seeking outrageous rate increases. And to give perspective on that, if you, I had provided recent years of our fiscal expense, our bills, if you will, towards the Maine Water Company's hydrant rentals. So in fiscal year 2020, that expense was $390,000. It has continued to increase steadily over the years. In our current fiscal year, FY26, we are at $525,000 for that expenditure for access to those hydrants. And then with the two increases that are currently up at the Maine Public Utilities Commission, one of them is a 3% increase on one portion of that bill, which would start by July of this year, totaling $1,234 per month, increasing our monthly bill to $43,597. And then the more major increase, which would take effect April 1st, which would take our monthly bill from $43,500 to $75,000 a month as of April 1st in 2027. A year from, April 1st, the coming April 1st. So as these the way these roll into the layout of our budget and the calendar year, that, these changes, if approved, would increase from this fiscal year to next fiscal year. That bill would increase from $525,000 to $620,000. And then in the following fiscal year, 2028, it would be $900,000 a year for access to that infrastructure, which is, it's a matter of life or death in many, every time it needs to be plugged into and used. On average, I'd say that's 3 or 4 times a year. We've recently learned about their redistricting, which was pitched as a very positive thing because, Millinocket would not be a region of its own and affording its own thing, but it would then be redistrict to also include, Saco and Biddeford, those areas in southern Maine, which, was pitched as that will save you guys money. Your costs won't be just on you, but what that actually means is that their costs are on us too. It's just redistributed. Their expansion, their infrastructure investment, everything in the southern part of the state is so much more rapid pace than it is here. And I don't know this for a fact. Please don't quote me on it, but if I were a betting man, I would think that part of these outrageous rate increases are related to some of that restricting piece. So that is an unrealistic thing for our community. If you look at one $900,000 a year bill for access to this infrastructure, that is over $360 per taxpayer. When you break that down, it's a lot of money. And we're not seeing an increase in revenue and yet, and even as we work through all of the details and the technicalities of setting up the information for the biofuel company for Great Northern Salmon, that puts us back at zero, for a ballpark thing. So I feel need to proactively get involved with this and try to argue it, try to fight it, try to intervene with this. It is not feasible for the taxpayers in our community to absorb that much of a hike in the course of a year. So Mr. Chairman and I collaborated on an advocacy letter to get that ball rolling that we've added as additional order this evening, that we would seek your support on. And then the plan is to start sending that to the Public Utilities Commission, our representatives, and any other appropriate party. And then, we're going to ask that the community do the same. I think that this is one of those things that no matter who we are in our community, we need to be active on it. We need to, come together and express that we just can't do that. So with all that great news, I'll hand it back to you guys.
I have a lot of heartburn when it comes to the Maine Water Company and the history behind it. There's a lot I want to say, but my ask is that we hold our comments until the order. That way we can all do it at the same time. And we can address the letter as it is at the same time. I'll open up to the council before I go on to my comments for the town manager's report. Seeing none, I will start mine then. Next council meeting, we are going to do an update on the task groups. Yeah,
Comment? Okay.
I'll go to the public in just a minute.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Task groups for the counselors have been a success in my eyes. I've heard a lot of positive feedback from the counselors that have spoken to me about their groups. The next council meeting we will be doing an update, as it will be 3 months. I know it's already crazy to think about that, but we will be doing an update on all those task groups next meeting. I want to say welcome to Grace Brown, our new CID. We got that email today. Just wanted to say welcome to the team. I can't wait to see the work that you bring forward to the council. The code. I'll go to Public Works first. So don't need it right now, Mr. Manager, but I would like to get an update on where we stand with if we're profitable on the cardboard, plastic jugs, and tin cans for the recycling program for the dump. Just want to see.
Not even remotely.
So hopefully we can see some numbers soon. Because that came to mind when I was at the dump the other day and I saw people throwing those items in and I was like, I don't feel like we're making any money off this, but I would like to see.
Can I?
Yes, absolutely.
So we are actually, we haven't advertised this yet, but we are now active in the new, group going to the new facility, that whole thing, with this single sort, and they expect everything in one container like it was in prior years. We haven't really spoke much about it yet because what we understand is that we are sending our loads to that facility, and then the load is being attached, to a different truck and being brought to a landfill. So we are still pursuing the recycling thing until we get official word that that facility is functional. And then at that point, we'll have to, have a conversation on how we want to address the recycling portion of it, as the expectation is that everything would go in the hopper again, and this facility is equipped to sort out all the various materials. But yes.
Thank you for jogging my memory on that. I had forgotten that that was a discussion that we had. Property at 82 Prospect Street, just saw the comments on it. Have we had positive conversations with the homeowner?
Oh, that's the one
recent
from the
fire.
building fire?
Yes.
Yes, that person has been in pretty steady communication with Tom and with one of the local realtors, and they're going back and forth trying to, Tom's staying on the timeline of our expectations, as not to lose track of that, like we had, like the town had in the past with burned down buildings. But yeah, I think there's a good plan coming together and progress on that.
Thank you. And then the last thing, I just want to say congratulations to everyone who won awards on award night. It's a wonderful thing to see it, to give credit to where credit is due. It's one of my big things, so I'm very happy to see that. So kudos to everyone on this list, and kudos for graduating your class.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I didn't have this in my report, but I really wanted to mention it. As of 4:00 today, myself and Evan and all of the wonderful crew at the Rope Tow are ready to open things up tomorrow. So tomorrow, 3 p.m. It'll just be a few hours until it gets dark, but 3 p.m. we're gonna run the ski tow. So come on over and please follow the rules and have some grace and kindness as we navigate our first weekend being open. But we're really excited.
It's fantastic news. I'm glad the state got back to us. So I know that's been held up for a while. So fantastic news. Any other councilor comments? Just one more time. Seeing none, down to the public. Just a reminder that any comments should be on the town manager's report or anything included. If it's not, I ask that you just wait until the 2-minute public comment at the end. If you want to make a comment on the town manager's report, yeah, you can. Just has to be on the contents of it. If it's not related, wait till the end of the 2-minute public comment. Yep. Podium, name and address, please.
Michelle Anderson, 146 Katahdin Avenue. I guess it's more a question, but would it do any good to have the residents in this town write to the public, what do they call it?
Public
Give it
Utilities Commission.
Or to somebody, because I would be happy to, with a couple of friends.
110%.
Pardon?
110%.
Now,
yeah, anytime's good.
Please do.
We're sending this letter right away. I plan on sending it, or we plan on sending it to.
And there will be separate letters or one letter signed by everyone for the citizenry.
I think that's something that you could come up with. I think more letters is better, but if you think it'd be easier to send one, 100%.
If they just go away.
Oh, I won't comment to that, but I think the letters that we're gonna send, I think will be added benefit to have the citizens also send something as well.
Could I ask you to send me a copy of the letter when you get it?
Of this one?
Yeah,
They are, did you grab an agenda?
I did. Is it in there?
It's in the packet, yes.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. I get the agenda on Tuesdays, and so I read the letter already. And I talked to a few people in town, and most people in this town don't even realize that the hydrants are rented. I was not here when that happened, so I have no idea when that happened. But they just look at the hydrants as, oh yeah, that's where we connect for fires. They have no idea. And so, Mr. Town Manager, I'll give you a new job. Would it be worth, I know you do a column for the newspaper
Periodically.
to
yeah.
do an FYI to inform the residents of this town that one of the reasons that your tax bill is going to be so much higher is because we are going to be responsible for this. And so we need your help to fight it. Most of them don't even know that they pay that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have a sneaking suspicion that this might end up in the paper next week, but if we should definitely do something in the paper, I agree.
Oh, Brian's right there on the, Brian Brown's on.
Yeah, that's why I said I have a sneaking suspicion, but
He keeps us in the good light. Yes.
I could not
Absolutely.
agree more.
No, I think I that's a great idea, and I will absolutely do that.
Yes.
Yep.
In outside of the clerk's world, the citizens can get just a citizen's petition on their own, nothing that would be done through the town for a unanimous letter for them to sign. So that's, what I was mentioning to Michelle. My question is, I don't reside in town, but is there any anticipation for resident personal billing to go up as well? I mean, I know last.
Why do you say that?
The last increases that we've seen as a town and residents were for the infrastructure. Is that also the reasoning for these increases, the large increase?
Partially.
Thank you for allowing me to ask the question.
Partially, yes. So, let me go back to the actual letter from them. So, one of the last paragraphs, the Maine Water Company knows that some customers may be experiencing financial hardship. And we are always eager to work with them to maintain their water service. Beginning in early 2006, we are excited to offer Water Ratepayers Assistant Program, which can be used to reduce residential water bills by 22% for customers who qualify, and they can call that phone number there. But basically, they may save a little on their personal residential bill, but it's going to be just redirected and expanded into what they pay in taxes for hydrant rentals.
And I ask because we buy the reeds from the Maine Water Company for our wastewater billing. And I can guesstimate that majority, 75% of the community receives a minimum billing. And I know that the minimum billing typically doesn't get reduced because, I see usage 200 units, and that's not a lot of usage when the minimum is 1,500 cubic feet. So that was my concern.
It's also funny you mentioned that because no, we didn't. We haven't really talked about this, but the final paragraph of
I was
the letter
just going to read that.
says the Maine Water Company provides sewer bills to the town of Millinocket at the rate of $2.05 per bill. We need to increase that charge to $2.10 per bill to cover inflationary costs related to labor, overhead, postage, etc.
So to answer your question, yes, and I think to quote my favorite adult cartoon, it really grinds my gears that they create this program called RAP, but they don't tell you that it's going to hit the taxpayer on the back end because they are taxing the hell out of us.
I do not have the totals. I can tell you the 4 times that we use their rate, their consumption rates, and just simply convert into our system. That quarterly bill is quite extensive for them to email us their So that concerns me. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
It concerns, I hope all of us. I'd be surprised if a counselor said no. But it's really depressing. There's, like I said, there's a lot I want to say and I'm gonna bite my tongue, but I'm not impressed. Yep. Sad. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Anything else, Mr. Town Manager?
No.
Thank you. All right. Counselor McGowan, can I have you read order number, or resolve number 3, 2026?
Certainly. Resolve number 3-2026. A resolution of member acknowledgement for MMA Workers' Compensation Fund Safety Incentive Program. Whereas the town of Millinocket is a member of the Maine Municipal Association Workers' Compensation Fund, hereinafter WC Fund, and whereas Maine Municipal Association, hereinafter MMA, provides risk management services and workers' compensation coverage, and whereas MMA developed the Workers' Compensation Safety Incentive Program, hereinafter the program, to help reduce the incidence and impact of workplace injuries by implementing WC Claim best practices, and whereas MMA will provide necessary written program information and offer assistance to participants, and whereas WC Fund members that participate in the program and complete the required activities will have the opportunity to earn a credit to their annual contribution, and whereas the town of Millinocket is committed to providing a safe environment for its employees, citizens, and visiting public, and whereas the program will help enhance such an environment and promote a self-sustaining culture of safety with participating members, now therefore be it resolved that the Millinocket Town Council in council assemble on February 26, 2026, does hereby acknowledge to elect to participate in the MMA Workers' Compensation Safety Incentive Program. Second.
Seconded by Counselor Danforth. Any counselor comments? Seeing none, just myself. I love MMA. They've done nothing but be an amazing tool for us, and this is just another added tool that we use. So thank you. Down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of resolve number 3-2026. Counselor Onion, how do you vote? Thank you. Counselor Bull, can I have you read order number 36?
Order number 36-2026, providing for execution of the town warrant for February 26, 2026. It is ordered that the town warrant for February 26, 2026 in the amount of $100,893.72 is hereby approved.
Second.
I'm sorry, which one are you saying?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Danforth. Apologies. Heavy hitters, please.
Heavy hitters, ambulance medical billing for $2,505.10. Dice Art Service for $7,708.22. Diesel. Hoyle Tanner and Associates, $24,678.41. Maine Municipal Association for $3,624.37. Municipal Waste Solutions LLC for $6,710.59. New England Salt Company LLC for $2,724.02. Northeastern Insulation Services for $3,740. PDQ Door Company for $14,962. Rebel Oil, $3,867.42. Versant Power, $16,606.53. And White Sign for a stop sign for $3,831.60.
Don't want to do the ones on the back. No, I'm kidding. Any other counselor comments? Yes.
I just asked what the expense to PDQ Door for $14,962 was for.
I believe that was for the town garage.
Thank you.
Transfer type, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other counselor comments? Seeing none, down to the public.
just a point of clarity. That garage door purchase for the transfer site was part of that insurance. Somebody had backed into the door and there was a claim and there was a check received. So that's offset by that check from the insurance claim.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Councilor Gould again, order number 37, please, sir.
Order number 37-2026, providing for execution of wastewater warrant for February 26, 2026. It is ordered that wastewater warrant for February 26, 2026 in the amount of $35,177.91 is hereby approved.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor McGlowan. Any councilor comments? Any headers?
Town of Millinocket, $12,199.79, and Versant Power for $21,287.94.
Power and water costs. Down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Councilor Pelletier, can I have you read order number 38, please?
Order 38, 2026, providing for approval of an application for a victualer's license for Lucy Hughes Place, MFP. It is ordered that the attached application for a victualer's license is hereby approved for Lynn Quinn, Brooksville, Maine, doing business as Lucy Hughes Place, MFP Bandstand / Veterans Memorial Park, Trails and Festival, Millinocket, Maine.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor McGlowan. Councilor comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 38?
Aye.
Also Danforth, I'm sorry, that's here. Thank you. It's unanimous. All right, Councilor Danforth, can I have you read order number 39-2026?
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry.
order number 39-2026.
A motion, we move the reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Pelletier. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. I'm gonna open it up to start with. I believe there's a representative from the school. If you just want to give us a brief background on what this order is. Mr. Federico, I believe you came to talk on this today.
Mr. Federico, I'm the facilities director for the school department. I'm here to talk to you tonight about a project that we're looking to do at Granite Street Elementary School. Starting to feel my age, because it was 15 years ago that I stood and presented the same project for Stearns High School. So at Granite Street, we're looking to do a heating and ventilation project to upgrade the current system. Granite Street was built in 1954, and most of the heating equipment is 70 years old, 1954 vintage. The newer wing of the building was built in the 70s. Making it around 50 years old. And it is far exceeded its useful life, unfortunately. It's a steam heating system, and similar to what we did at Stearns, we're seeking to convert from steam to hot water, just more efficient, more longevity out of it. We're starting to see breakdowns we have in the last several years. Actually, we started this process when we did the Stearns project 15 years ago, looking to do Granite Street as a second phase. We've got steam lines breaking under the floor that have to be routinely fixed and addressed. We've got unit heaters in the classrooms that are 70 years old that you can't get parts for anymore. So the project has been several years in the making, and kind of the moon and the stars have aligned at this point to and get things back up to speed and to where we need to be. So it would be a steam to hot water conversion, also addressing the ventilation of the school as well. So what would it entail would be totally converting our entire boiler room that's over there, converting the steam boilers that are there to hot water boilers, repiping the entire boiler room to hot water piping, running all new piping, hot water lines out to all existing classrooms, radiation unit heaters, replacing all of the rooftop units throughout the building that provide your ventilation, exhaust, Currently, they're the old style whirlybird. When the wind blows, it ventilates, and when the wind blows, it doesn't. So they would be variable speed drive units, like we have at Stearns. We would then, with the new equipment, we would then reinstall all of the DDC controls, all the digital controls that we did in the last several years with the COVID funding, kind of in anticipation of doing this project, you know, a few years down the road. With the COVID funding, we did about $1.2 million worth of control work at Granite Street. A lot of the COVID funding was to make your buildings healthier and well ventilated and whatnot. So we looked at what could we do, not throwing good money after bad. We recontrolled all of those old units with state-of-the-art digital controls, CO2 sensors, and all of that. Kind of be like if you had a 1970s Volkswagen Bug and you dropped in all the modern electronic features of today's vehicles with cruise control and power windows and all of that. It's kind of what we did at Granite Street, and allowed us to really do some pretty cool upgrades, really provide some good ventilation, provide a really healthy building. But unfortunately, we still have that Volkswagen Bug that we're driving underneath. So when you hook your Bluetooth up to it, the old Univents kind of don't like that. So we would reuse the $1 million+ worth of control work. Kind of the first phase is kind of how we approached it, doing that with grant funding. And we would be able to reuse all of that with this project. So basically what we're looking to do is we would have an additional $3 million worth of work to complete at Granite Street to complete all of the upgrades. Back in July, I applied for a SRRF grant, School Revolving Renovation Fund grant. And we were one of a handful of schools that were awarded the full $2 million grant, which is a huge, huge bonus. The grant is a 70-30 grant, which the grant is through the Maine Municipal Bond Bank. They forgive 70% of that loan. So it would be a $1.4 million loan forgiveness. With the remainder, we were able to borrow at 0% interest. So $600,000 at 0% interest. There would also be an additional $1 million we would have to look to continue funding the rest of the project. So basically with the grant funding, COVID funding, and all of that together, we're looking to move forward with that project. And what we're asking for tonight is to basically accept the grant that we were awarded, and that has to be done through a council. You guys control the purse strings of the school, where we're a municipal school district. You guys control the finances. So the first step to accept the grant process, the grant award, and begin the process for us would be council order to allow us to move forward with the funding. Once that is done, then that sets the ball in motion for the engineering and all of that. Very tight timeline to try to get all of this work done because of the heating season. There's an 18-month window for the grant. We have a very short time frame to get equipment ordered, get things done, get the engineering done. But the first step of the process is accepting the grant funding. It kind of falls as the Stearns project just ended last year. So it's not going to be a huge impact to our budget. There will be some, but the previous bond that was taken out for the previous 15-year project ended. So there's money sitting available for us to kind of continue on this as the next phase and bring Granite Street into the future, basically, and provide a system that's going to keep that building viable, healthy, and safe long into the future. And, you know, Granite Street is a great facility. It's got we've done a lot of renovation there. We did a lot of renovation in the early, 90s, 2000s. The roofs are in great shape. So this is kind of the last big thing we need to do over there to keep the building viable, whether it's a school or down the road becomes something else. But I hear the talk of, down the road, and if people come to town and making our school systems viable into the future, this is the next step in what we need to do to accomplish that.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's the gist of it.
Mr. Manager, I know you had some concerns and you met with the school. Is there any remaining lingering concerns with the project or? Your mic's off.
No, my initial concerns were answered when, Beverly and I met with Louie and Shelley and a little bit more information has come our way since. My concern was, how is it set up and what's the cash flow obligation? But actually, it seems pretty simple and straightforward. After you consider it, and if you do support it, we, the town, actually submit the application to the municipal bond bank on behalf of the school, and go through that process. But what Louis was alluding to is, their debt from that former project is completed. So this would kind of just slip into the same spot into the expense budget for the school to make these payments going forward. So but we really don't see any concern for impact on cash flow or expenses, just getting it established.
Thank you. Any other counselor comments? Yep, go ahead.
My only concern was the additional $1 million. As you said, it was a $3 million project and we look like we've got the two, with just concerns about where you would source the additional million.
That would be a separate bond,
Okay.
in addition to
Okay.
the grant bonding has to be done separate because the grant is a 10-year term. So we would address that separately.
Okay.
Aside from the grant piece.
Good question. Any other counselor comments? Seeing none, down to the public.
Hi, Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive.
You pull the mic down towards you. Thank you.
First off, I would like, as a taxpayer, to say thank you, thank you, thank you to all of the people in town, from Amber Wheaton to Mr. DeFrederico, for applying for these grants. I don't know as the people in this town realize how much money they have saved us in tax dollars. I absolutely encourage you to accept this grant. I would much rather pay back $60,000 over 10 years than to pay $2 million out of my taxpayer pocket. Thank you.
Couldn't agree more. Any other public comment? Yes.
Tom Melton, 73 School Street. I'd just like to know what our plans are. We got a school over there with 300 kids in it. We got a school over here with 300 kids in it. We're gonna keep pouring money into that school over there when we could combine the school, number one. Number two, what happens if 3 years down the road, we decide to close that school? Do we have to pay that money on demand? Or does that carry over?
I'm not going to answer the second one. I'll leave it up to Mr. Federico, but he kind of alluded to something that, I've talked about in the past in the public, is that whatever we do decide to do with that building, whether we combine schools or not, that building is in decent shape that it could be utilized for something else. And I completely agree. I have said it since I ran for office the first time that I think that the schools need to be consolidated in some way, shape, or form. So personally, I completely agree. I do share the similar concern is how does that work out with the legalese on this document if we do decide to move away from that being a school? Do you know, Mr. Manager?
I do not have the answer to that.
Is there any way we could get that possibly by the next meeting?
Probably good.
Yep, go ahead.
Well, this has to be voted on tonight.
No, I'm fine with that. I just want to know the answer to his question. That's all.
Thought you meant-
I'm not, no. I want to know, how would that work? I mean, that's not going to impact what we're doing today, but it may impact the decision we make down the road. Did I answer your question? I hope I did. Okay, well, I'm going to try to get you an answer by next meeting on that second portion. Any other public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 39-2026?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you again, Mr. DeFrederico. All right, I will read order number 40-2026, providing for approval of advocacy letter in opposition of proposed Maine Water Company hydrant rental increase. Whereas the Millinocket Town Council, on behalf of the taxpayer, wishes to advocate in opposition of the extreme price increase of hydrant rental proposed by Maine Water Company, it is ordered that the attached advocacy letter is approved. It is further ordered that the town manager is directed to submit copies the attached letter to the Maine Public Utilities Commission, our representatives, and any other appropriate parties.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Danforth. Councilor comments, I'm going to read the letter that I wrote. Is this the new one you sent me, Mr. Manager? Smaller one? I thought I got a different one in my email. Did I flip it? Oh, there it is. Ah, yeah. I was like, where's all my bullet points? It's on the back side.
Diana is a very economic mind and
No, that
serves as much paper as possible by printing front and back.
And I appreciate that. I have it. To whom it may concern, as chair of the Millinocket Town Council, I write on behalf of our full council and the people of Millinocket to formally address our concern and strong opposition regarding the recently proposed hydrant rental increase by Maine Water Company, further known as MWC. Hydrant rental is a non-discretionary municipal obligated tied directly to fire protection coverage. And like many other budgeted categories, this expense cannot be reduced or deferred. It is funded entirely through local property taxation, meaning any increase flows immediately and directly to Millinocket taxpayers. For context, the town's hydrant rental expenditures in recent fiscal years are as follows. FY20, $390,472.08. Fiscal year 21, $406,117.68. 22, $408,429.98. FY23, $433,281.11. Small typo there, it should be a comma. FY24, $467,980.56. FY25, $502,541.40. And then FY26, which is our current rate, $524,000. And according to projections received, FY27 would be $620,000 and FY28 would be approximately $890,000. MWC has indicated two separate filings with the Maine Public Utilities Commission, MPUC, a water infrastructure charge, WISC, proposing a 3% increase in monthly billing by July 2026, start of FY27, which would raise our monthly hydrant rental cost to approximately $43,597. A broader rate adjustment across MWC's customer base that, if adopted, could increase our monthly hydrant rental obligation to roughly $74,114 starting April 1st, 2027, equating to $889,368 annually. If both proposals are approved, the town anticipates an increase of approximately $95,000 in FY27 alone, bringing the total to $618,715. And by FY28, the annual hydrant rental cost may increase to nearly $900,000, more than double the expenditure of 8 years ago. For a rural service center with limited tax resources, those proposed increases are unsustainable. As hydrant rental is financed entirely through municipal taxation, such escalation will advisedly affect property taxes and jeopardize local budget stability. For context, Millinocket has roughly 2,500 tax bills at nearly $900,000. The cost per tax bill is over $350. In a community with demographics such as ours, these increased costs will be detrimental to many individuals and families. While we acknowledge the importance of infrastructure investments and ongoing system maintenance, the magnitude and rapidity of these increased necessities, carefully consideration regarding affordability, impact on rate payers, and long-term sustainability of municipalities like Millinocket. We respectfully request a thorough review of these filings, consideration of phased implementation strategies, and careful evaluation of the aggravated burden placed on ratepayers in small communities such as Millinocket. Thank you for your attention and for your continued commitment to the residents of our region. Sincerely, Matthew D.L. Bragdon, Chair of the Malacca Town Council. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for modifying this with the added information that we had spoke about via email. I'll open it up for council comments. Councilor Gould.
So when I first saw this letter on Monday and I had to think there's got to be an alternative to this. We can't be railroaded, hijacked. And I went through some of the options, I guess, but it was an AI search through the internet. And I'm curious, and with Chief here, I really wanted to ask, I noticed that Bridgeton, Scarborough, Saco, and North Yarmouth have all gone to dry hydrants, submerged cisterns, and other things to combat having to pay for fire hydrants. And I was just wondering if that's feasible, a possibility that we can look at an option so that we aren't held to the fire.
I think that question would be more directed as the manager where it involves finances, but I am curious to hear John's comments on the subject.
I don't know the answer, but I would very much welcome Chief Cody to come up and talk about that if he does know about it. It's on. Oh, it's off. It's on.
John Cody, Fire Chief. So those areas such as dry hydrants are more for out of town areas such as country areas. Where walk to a pond and access water for a dry hydrant. Also, you have to think of the challenge here with dry hydrants in the winter. As we're things with keep in mind with hydrants that we have in our hydrant zone. We also have to think of our insurance service. If we were to or get rid of any hydrant, also our for people with residential insurance. Insurance companies won't insure the home. Did mention to the manager, I'm gonna forward signed letter to the association.
Yeah, that's great news. Any other, you said you had several other.
No, I apologize. No, it's
any other councilor comments? No. Seeing none, I will open it up to the public. Chuck?
Chuck Pringle, One Colony Place. Has the water company actually performed any maintenance other than the flushing of the systems? I mean, have there been a lot of like fire hydrant replacements or repairs other than the color coding paint jobs, which may have been actually done by the fire department? I don't know if Maine Water did that, but I was just trying to understand why or how they were justifying their increase. So it was more about, my question is about maintenance. Is there actually been a lot of maintenance on the fire hydrants throughout town?
Well, Chuck, it wasn't my turn to watch them. I really, I really can't answer that. I know that they periodically do replacements. I think most of the ongoing maintenance is done, at facilities where you don't really see it. I think that, I have heard, again, don't quote me, but that some of the work that they're saying needs to be done has been like deferred maintenance for, some time. But, where they're not directly related to our municipal operation, I don't know exactly what they do for updates and maintenance and repairs on their schedule.
I understand. Maybe I was just trying to find a way to counter their claim that they need such a significant increase by virtue of exactly what have they been doing for us? Where are their expenditures directly related to the town? when it comes to the fire hydrant infrastructure. If, we haven't had any significant amount of fire hydrant replacements, not knowing how many there are, or, pipes that are running, water pipes that are running to the fire hydrants. If none of that infrastructure has been replaced or repaired, then that might be a good add-on. Not to say the letter shouldn't go out as is, but if they try to come back and rebut it, it would be nice to know maybe what they've really been doing to our system other than flushing the water lines. That's
So,
just my
very
thought.
Good question. My hope and pray, Chuck, is that MPUC asks these questions. Of course, I've never personally gone to one of their commission meetings. But I hope that they ask these questions when they're evaluating these increases.
Okay,
Any other public
thank you.
comments? Any more public comments? Yep, understood. Coming back to the council, I just want to make it very clear that I already said it once, but I think it's ridiculous that they try to create this program called RAP to help benefit water ratepayers with them, but leave out the fact that they are increasing their charge, which will inevitably goes on those taxpayers by a very large amount. What was it, $350?
Yeah.
So really, there is no savings. If anything, there's added cost. Not impressed. To answer your question, there was a solution almost 15 years ago to purchase the entire infrastructure for $1 million. And here we are in 2 years, going to be spending little under $100,000 of what it would originally cost us to do it. So I'm not impressed with, again, the history or the changes that they are attempting to implement. Any other councilor comments before we vote on the order? Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just hadn't raised my hand before because I don't know what to say. I saw the email when it came out earlier in the week and just, thought it was unbelievable. I was happy to see your response to, just saying, let's get a letter out there. So I appreciate that you took time and with the manager to write this letter. And then I'm just happy to hear a public response as well that others want to write. We need as a community to all come together and shout really loud or do whatever. Not sure what the recourse is, but we can't sit for this. We need to stand up and yell and scream, whatever, but it's really frustrating. I don't have the words. Let's vote on this. Yeah.
All those in favor of order number 40-2026?
Aye.
It's unanimous with one public vote. Moving on, reports of communication warrant committee for March 12th, 2026 council meeting will be Councilor Danforth and Councilor Gould. Assuming there is nothing coming up for either one of you. Fantastic. Thank you again for picking up last week. Chair committee reports.
I'll make it quick just to say that our next age-friendly meeting is March 10th at 2 p.m. at the library, and the Snowdown event that was held recently was a great turnout. The weather was almost too warm because after we got done, skating rink was great, but when we got done at 3 o'clock, we had to close down so that we were in the ice. But it was a good turnout for those that.
Thank you. Thank you guys for all the work that you do for that. I know that I personally could not be there, but I heard that it was fun. 2-minute public comment. This is the time that the public can come up and address the council. There could be a little bit of dialogue. If we can't answer a question or you have a concern, I will do my best to try to get the answer for you by the next council meeting. When you do come up to the podium, name and address as always, but it's open for discussion.
Michelle Anderson, I still live at 146 the time now. My husband and I moved here at 26. I've spoken to every manager, starting with Jim Conlon this year, and various councilors, and I asked Peter to send you guys a bunch of photographs. I don't know if you know what they are, but send my husband out with a camera and told him I want it from where Knoxcott meets with Pawtucket. I want a picture of each side of the street. You can see what I'm talking about. He took pictures, and that was this week, meaning it was quite some time since last snow. my snow pile in front of next to my driveway, it's usually 5 and 7 feet, and 4 foot 11. I can only pray when every year, all that winter long, people on the other side of the street, all the way up the street, and back down to the mill, get their places plowed, the streets plowed, their sidewalks plowed, there's snow. Every year, for 26 years I've watched it. Our property, as well as everyone else on that street. Market, the street gets plowed. We don't ever get our sidewalks plowed. So look at my house, you'll see my sidewalk is the only one on that block in that area that actually has their sidewalk shoveled. Because the mess next door that's collapsing doesn't have anybody doing their sidewalk. Whatever, it's a mess. So-called reason for the huge difference in the services that we are getting varies. The most common reason given is, well, that's how we vote. And I have to point out that the first moved here, I met Angus King. No, it was him, but he said that's what they need to change the motto, state of Maine to. It's on the way to the hospital, also a common one. Actually, it's not on the way to the hospital, it's on the way from the hospital. They go faster coming down my side than the other side, so that's a crazy. The utility pole. There's one utility pole probably every. My house happens to be next.
Just asked that you politely wrap it up. You've gone over the 2 minutes.
They also come by, it's like they wait around the corner until everyone's finished shoveling and the plow comes by and rolls all of that snow at the beginning of the driveway. My husband is 74 years old. He is the youngest on that block. He has to go back out and redo it several times. My property taxes have nearly doubled in the last 2 years. 2024, I paid 431 and change. 2025, 667 times 2. And this year, $830.30. I'm on Social Security. That is just about what I make a month, $830. Like much of the town, my husband and I get Social Security. Well, we get a cost of living raise every now and then, but it's tiny and there's no way to keep up with property tax. It's rising. As I see it, town has two choices. You can alternate one side of the street one time and the other every even 2 or 3 times. Or lowering the taxes of everybody on that side of the street because we're getting so much less service than the people across the street from it. I'm paying the same percentage that everybody on the other side pays.
I'm gonna end the conversation here. You've gone well over 5 minutes at this point. I have reviewed your email to an extreme point. I looked at all the photos, zoomed in on them, and with permission, can I read your email that you responded back, if that's okay? Good afternoon. I'm assuming by the per picture, she is questioning why both sides of Katahdin Ave are not cleared. The east side of the sidewalk of Katahdin Ave from Central to Poplar Street is a priority for Public Works. The sidewalk is plowed during the duration of the storm. The sidewalk is also cleared during nighttime cleanup. Typically, within 48 hours of the storm ending, the west side of Katahdin Ave from Central Street to Poplar Street has utility poles in the sidewalk that prevent the same level of snow removal from happening. This machine won't fit around the poles. When we receive enough snowfall to encroach on the sidewalks, on the road, to encroach on the roadway on the side, Public Works will dedicate a night of additional cleanup from Poplar Street to Bates Street, which would include the areas in the photos. We have not received that amount of snowfall this year or in the past few years. As Peter has mentioned, the sidewalk on Katahdin Ave that we do clear is in bad shape. If we were to focus on sidewalk repairs, that would be one of my first priorities. To further address her concerns, Public Works does not plow or remove snow from private properties. The snowbanks around town that we do remove are for safety and traffic reasons. increasing visibility at intersections, opening sidewalks, in areas of heavy foot traffic downtown and narrowing streets to get snowbound easily are the items we prioritize. I empathize with her that clearing the bank at the end of a driveway is hard work. Her driveway is not unlike the countless other driveways in town. However, every resident is burdened with the same chore throughout the entire winter. Couldn't agree more. I've been a homeowner in Millinocket for going on 7 years, and I have not once had the municipality clear out my driveway. One time I actually backed into it while they were plowing, got my car stuck. But yeah, it's very common for every taxpayer in Millinocket that has a situation similar to you, but it's also a situation we're trying to handle. You know, as mentioned, I've mentioned it last year during budget season. I'm going to mention it again this year during budget season, that sidewalks are a huge concern for me. Obviously, it's a concern for Public Works, and it's on their agenda to work on. I'll open it up to the council for them to have comments as well, but, you know, we've heard your complaints. It's something we are actively trying to address. It's very costly to do some of the things that are recommended or suggested.
Instead of doing that.
Right, but you know, the utility poles are a huge burden. You know, we're responsible if we damage them. You know, there's multiple things that come into respect when we talk about, you know, going around those poles and the machines that we have to do it. And I could not appreciate more what your team does. I know it's not easy to do it, especially on days that we have huge snowstorms, to be up all hours of the night to keep the roads clean for Millinocket. I'll open it up to the other counselors. Is there any other counselor comments?
We need to wrap it up.
Yep. Seeing none. Do you have anything for Public Works? You know, those things we can talk about during budget season, especially the sidewalks, you know, make them a little bit better to do. As for plowing the end of the driveways, I don't think that will ever change. Just a person. If we did that for every single person in Millinocket, you're talking about adding an extreme burden on taxes. You're talking about adding more staff, more equipment.
Same.
And we've explained to you what the results are of it. So at this point in time, if there is no other public comment, seeing none, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilor Danforth, second by Councilor McGowan. All those in favor of adjourning? Councilor Runyon, how do you vote?
Oh, it's not working. Oh, aye, there you go.
It's unanimous. Everyone have a wonderful night.
She has to say, I also.